welcome back. I'm here to do my TBR for the Reading Rush, formerly known as a Booktubeathon, and it runs from July 22nd to July 28th, so Monday to Sunday, I think. This is the first year that I've ever done the Booktubeathon, the Reading Rush, so we're gonna get into this and I'll tell you what I'm gonna be reading for each prompt. I really want to try to do daily vlogs. I don't know how many of them I can get to, so I don't want to promise, but I'm gonna try. If not, there'll be at least 2 or 3 long vlogs. You get out of here then. The first prompt is to read a book with a purple cover or purple on the cover, and I have 2 that I could potentially read for this one. The first one that I could read is The Mermaid's Voice Returns in This One by Amanda Lovelace. This is a book of poetry. She does modern poetry, and this is the 3rd book of that. I've read the other 2, so I'm kind of excited to see how this one goes. So this is the first book that I could potentially read for that. The second book, that is The House of the Rising Sun by Kristen Painter. This is an adult fantasy. It centers in New Orleans. It's a mythical place where vampires can walk in the daylight. They call it the City of Eternal Night, but they all think it's a myth. So for centuries, the Fae have protected New Orleans from the vampires intruding their area, but now the vampires are starting to return and the peace in New Orleans starts to crumble. So 2 Fae, Harlow and Augustine, are dragged into this war, and somehow ends up the fate of the city rests on them. So I'm pretty excited to read this. I've already started it and got like 50 pages in, but I could still count it because I'm less than halfway done with it. The next prompt is same spot, so that's reading a book in the same spot. And that doesn't mean you have to like stay there the entire time, but you have to read it continually in that spot. So like if you pick it up to read it, you have to go back to the spot that you started in. I'm not exactly sure where my spot's gonna be. I read in a couple different spots: my bed, the couch. There's I read in the car. I don't read in the car, I listen in the car. There's a chair upstairs that I sit in and read while my family members are playing Minecraft or whatever game they decide to play. And for this, I chose a NetGalley read, and that is Rainbow Brite by Jeremy Whitley. And I'm really excited to read this one. I do believe it is a graphic novel or manga of some kind. I'm really excited to read this one. As a kid, I loved Rainbow Brite. I had Rainbow Brite doll, I had Rainbow Brite sheets. I loved to watch the Rainbow Brite cartoon. I loved her. I still have the doll here somewhere. Number 3 is read a book that you meant to read last year. And there were so many that I could have picked for this one. But I went ahead and went with Volume 1 of Fairy Tale by Hiro Mishima. I don't think I said that right. I'm so sorry. But this is actually the Master Edition, but I'm only going to read the first volume, which is this much. So I'm excited to read this one. It is about a young wizard, and she wants to join Fairy Tale, the world's most rambunctious and powerful magical guild. And I think this goes with her quest. So I've been looking forward to reading this. I've seen a lot of stuff about it, and I just wanted to know what it was about. Prompt number 4 is to read an author's first book. Now this doesn't have to be a new author, it can be any author but their debut novel. And I went with Everland by Wendy Spinelli. And this is a steampunk retelling of Peter Pan. And again, I loved Peter Pan growing up. And in this book, London has been destroyed by bombs and disease, and the only ones who have survived have been children. Among the survivors is Gwen Darling and her siblings. The children spend their nights scavenging the streets, and they spend their days avoiding the deadly marauders, the German army, led by the cutthroat Captain Hans Otto Oswald Kretschmer. And unsure if the outbreak has spread, but he's desperate to leave England. Captain Hook is on the hunt for the cure, and he thinks that it can be found in the surviving children. So Captain Hook and his men start snatching children from the street, and none of them return until one day they grab Gwen's sister. Gwen sets out to get her back, and she crosses paths with a daredevil named Pete. Pete offers the assistance of his gang, the Lost Boys, and their sharpshooter, Bella. But in a place where help has a steep price and every promise is bound by blood, it might cost Gwen more than she bargained for. And this sounds so amazing. And I can't believe I haven't read it sooner, but I haven't. And I love retellings, so I'm hoping to get to this one. I really, really want to read this. Okay, and then the next one is to read a book with a non-human main character. And for this, I chose another NetGalley read. I chose The Tea Dragon Festival by Katie O'Neill. And I read the first one a couple of months ago, and I loved it so much. I got it in an Owlcrate box. And so when I saw that this one was coming out and I was able to get it for review on NetGalley, I jumped at the opportunity, and I can't wait to get into it and read it and see if it's as good as the first one. The next prompt is to read a book that has 5 or more words in the title. And I chose another NetGalley read. I'm going to be reading The Bravest Knight Who Ever Lived by Daniel Errico. But we follow Cedric on his journey from his days on a humble pumpkin farm to the adventures that lead him to become a full-fledged knight. Once a knight, discover how he uses his cleverness and courage to vanquish a fire-breathing dragon and rescue a beautiful prince and princess. It is only then does Sir Cedric face his most difficult challenge. Will he follow his heart and prove that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose for yourself and how your fairy tale ends? And I do believe this one has an LGBTQ ending. It's a children's book. It's only 40 pages long. I will be reading this to my kids. I'll get their reaction to see how they liked it and what they thought of the story as well. And then the next one was really hard for me to pick because there are so many. And the prompt for that one is read the book and watch the movie adaptation. And I have 2 choices for this one. I could read The Choice by Nicholas Sparks, or I could read The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. Romance novels are usually pretty easy to get through. I love Nicholas Sparks' book. This one is about a young man named Travis who has everything that he could want: a good job, loyal friends, a waterfront home in this small town in North Carolina. He spends his life boating, swimming, and having barbecues with his close friends, and he thinks that getting into a relationship would be the worst thing. It would cramp his style, something awful, until Gabby Holland moves next door. And despite his attempts to be neighborly, she seems to hold a grudge against him. But he is very persistent, and it leads them to the doorstep of a journey that they never thought they'd be on. And then The Glass Castle is a memoir of the Walls family, and it follows Jeanette and her family. Her father, when sober, was very brilliant and charismatic. He always captured his children's imaginations, teaching them physics and geology and how to embrace life fearlessly. But when he drank, he became dishonest and destructive. And her mother, who was a free spirit, did not really want the domesticated life, and she didn't want the responsibility of raising a family. The Walls children learned how to take care of themselves, and they eventually made their way to New York. Their parents followed and chose to be homeless even as their children prospered. So this sounds like a really good book, as does this one. I guess we'll find out which one I read. I could double up a lot of them and read this one because it's purple, it has a non-human main character, there's 5 or more words in the title, but my little Ravenclaw heart just wants to finish 7 books in 7 days, and I guess we'll find out if I can do that. I'm gonna try so hard. So I'm going to hop off of here, edit this video, start my vlog, and read, because of course your girl waited till July 22nd to make her video, and the readathon starts today. So I'm gonna go. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.
My heart rages around like an ocean.